Greetings one and all to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Welcome, good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I'm Lunar, and this is Let's Death Mark 2 Part 8. I think. I don't remember where to go. I think the clock tower. The departed must be the cause of this light. These spiritual phenomena just won't stop. I can't take it anymore. Sit on the ground. It's grass. So I find myself here once again, a clock tower with a clock that has stopped moving. Inside the tower, Michio is... Let's go, Mr. Yashiki. Yeah. Door is open. The door is half open. That means we can go inside. It makes me feel like this is the departed's work. Are you sure about this, Doryu? I can hear the sounds of Doryu trying to steel herself. What's going through her mind right now? Tension, or is it fear? In any case, her gaze is fixed forward. I'm ready. Alright, let's go. There's no trace of Michio's corpse in the clock tower. There's nothing left on the floor. There's neither traces of blood, nor the giant insects. Mr. Yashiki? Huh. The giant insects didn't appear until after... Well, no, everyone was complaining about feeling heavy and lethargic and migraines before, so they already had them on then. I just couldn't see it then. But it wasn't until after that... Well, no, even after that night, I didn't see anything on her when she came by, nor after that, nor like right before I left to come here. So, I don't know. I knew it. The departed disposed of her corpse. I guess so, yeah. Michio? Stumbling on her feet, Doryu walks toward the area where Michio collapsed. She then turns around to me and begins to speak. Michio was the best friend I ever had. She might have seemed selfish to you, but she was actually a really caring person. Even when she decided to be the student council vice president, she only did it to help me out. She didn't even really want to be a student council member. Were you two friends for a long time? Yes, we were friends even before we entered kindergarten. Our parents are close. Both of us are only children, so we became friends quickly. So you guys are basically siblings. Because both of us wanted to have siblings, we often played sisters. I'd play the stubborn, fussy older sister, while she'd be the sloppy yet kind younger sister. She continues rambling until her voice gradually fades. I bet even Doryu herself has no idea what she's saying right now. It's not the time for action, it's time to just be there for her and listen. I nod silently. I shared everything with Michio. My hobbies, future dreams, the troubles I hid from other people, even my crush. Listen to me, Mr. Yashiki. Michio loved you. Music really kicked up. This is that song that has the words, right? I don't know. Maybe at some point I should do a series of videos that's just the background musics. Or the CGs. Oh, okay. I was expecting lyrics to start. Did you realize her feelings? I knew it. She's usually pretty direct when it comes to showing her feelings. It's only been a few weeks since we first met. Time is irrelevant. It's all about the event that made her fall for you. What event? Didn't you compliment her hair before? She believed it was fate that there was someone who could see our curse, other than the two of us. But I'm a teacher and she's a student. So, you think that's weird? Yeah, it's not very common. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. 5 years ago at this school, there was a tragic love story between a teacher and the students. That wasn't... She must refer to Red Kashima and Sosuke Hiro's from the art club. She's probably heard it from Michio. Yeah, but that was... completely one-directional. And several people in there kind of murdered other people, so... Love can bloom regardless of your situation. It doesn't matter whether the love is accepted or not. Love, huh? I might be insensitive at times, but I think I understand the kind of love Dory was talking about. It's a feeling young girls often consider precious. I mean, isn't love supposed to be precious? Like, you're supposed to actually... Whatever. However, I am an adult and a teacher, albeit a temporary one. Yeah, Yashiki's actually a lot older than I originally thought he was. He does not look that old. Though they might think that they have adult feelings, Michio and Dory are children at the end of the day. It's my responsibility to keep them away. It's important for teachers to be responsible and to be professional. I mean, it's a professional setting. That being said, I think Japan was pretty different about that stuff. I don't know. Anyone from Japan who knew about Because also things have changed from decade to decade to decade too. And in different countries as far as in terms of... But in general, yeah, teachers shouldn't be trying to date students. It's just not very professional. That being said, I wouldn't describe Doryu or Kinukawa, even though we're literally standing where her corpse is, I wouldn't describe them as children. I mean, honestly, if you go out and like shoot a cop that age, you're pretty much going to get tried as an adult in court. So, but I guess at the end of the day, it always comes right down to what is the actual law of whatever nation you're in and what is considered a societal norm. But at the end of the day, this is not a child in front of me. That being said, we are in a haunted building, surrounded by ghosts. This is perhaps not the time to discuss this. But yeah, Yashiki is a lot older though. He doesn't look that old. But yeah, like I said, it's... certainly a subject to debate. But I constantly feel like I need to turn the music down lower. But I keep adjusting the volume inside the options menu, and it's like it's still so loud. But yeah, like I said, the main thing is teachers shouldn't be. And in general, I would say anyone over the age of 30 shouldn't be talking to anyone under the age of 20. But, heck, what's the average age of doing Leonardo DiCaprio dates? Because that's usually a topic of conversation. He's made some good movies. I can't stay on one topic, can I? No. Still say I don't have ADHD. But yeah, I'm just saying. There's certainly a huge age gap here. But I would not say Doryu or Kinukawa are children. I mean, heck, there's a psychological visual novel that, again, is not meant for anyone under the age of, well, I would again say 21, because it's very violent. But I would say Saya no Yuta, which, on the one hand, I'm kind of against censorship. On the other hand, I'm like, if Saya were aged up, like it was an older character, the story would reach more people. Because at the end of the day, it's a very good visual novel, which explores human psychology and our reaction to our senses, people, things like isolation, or paranoia, or just how humans interact with each other, or deal with trauma. So it's a very good story. It's just the fact that there's a character in the game called Saya, who, yes, looks like a legitimate fucking child. Which, obviously anyone that age, that's way, 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 way too young. That being said, it's also a space alien who is an eldritch horror from another universe, not even another planet, literally another universe, dimension, that looks like a dependent, but then of course the person has like brain damage to where they're seeing the Cthulhu being as an angel. Though of course it's also a play on Japanese folklore, because there's a thing about the Maiden in White, about, you know, symbolism of purity, and it's basically TV tropes. You guys ever go to that one website called TV Tropes? I don't know, maybe I could make videos just reading stuff from TV Tropes. But it was supposed to be a storytelling device. After all, many stories, heck, sometimes from different parts of the world, use the same literary devices. Either they had the same origins, or the human mind, regardless of what part of the world you're in, tends to come to the same conclusions about how to effectively tell a story. Then again, it always depends on what you're trying to do with your story. Are you trying to just entertain people? Are you trying to tell some sort of political message or something? Heck, there's a lot of times I think people get carried away with one and they forget the other. And again, you shouldn't be hiding, some sort of political message in a thing. It should be, okay, yeah, it's about this, it's about that. Okay, fine, that's fine. I mean, we've all watched Bill Nye the Science Guy. That was the thing, it's some science education. That's good. Main point is, you should understand the genre, unless you're doing a genre switch for shock value. Like, Song of Memories. You start off like a dating sim thing, and it goes into oh, guess what, now there's a pandemic, and everyone's dying. And it's global lockdown stuff going on. That's been a subject of a bunch of games, even before the pandemic. Which, that was awkward. At least it wasn't like it was in the video games or movies. It was just, hey, stay home for a couple weeks, and then go back to work. But wear masks. I still remember having to be at work wearing 2 sets of masks. Which is bullshit. I had to wear a cloth mask, I had to wear a plastic face shield. I couldn't hardly fucking breathe. Luckily, I only had to do that for a few months. Still glad I quit that job. But anyway, Saya no Yuta. Anyway, the otherworldly, the eldritch being, Lovecraftian horror from another universe, winds up having the appearance of a young girl to the main character, Fuminori, who is unable to see the rest of the world in a normal way. Everything's basically covered in pig guts and blood and gore everywhere, and he's just constantly hearing screaming noises. Everything tastes horrible, and he's just having violent hallucinations all the time. Anyway, aside from describing how that affects the human psychology and how the human mind is malleable, and again, I think that's the main point of the story, is about human psychology and how a human just a person's outlook on the rest of the world can be impacted by things, whether it's simple comforts like how does food taste, or getting a good night's sleep, or whether or not they're lonely, or whether or not, they just constantly are exposed to things that are traumatic. Stress and stuff like that can have a profound effect on a human mind. The main point is that, heck, I've described human beings as 3 main characteristics we have. 1, we're curious. You ever see a building on fire in the middle of a city? The most dangerous thing about that is if you don't see people standing on the middle of the street, staring at that fucking fire. The most predictable thing about the human mind is that we are extremely curious. If there is a fucking building on fire in the middle of a city and people aren't gathered in a crowd just watching it burn, there's something wrong. And you're like, well, isn't it wrong for people just to be standing there staring, watching a building burn? Here's the thing, that's a whole different topic. The topic I'm going with is this. Regardless of it being right or wrong, human beings are drawn by their curiosity. They will stand in the middle of the fucking street in a group watching a building burn. If for whatever reason people aren't there, they either are not able to get there, or that's it. Which means either something else is happening, or they're sick, or there's no way to get there, or they're dead. At the end of the day, a building burning and nobody being there is a more dangerous situation. Not only are there less people available to potentially help, but the fact that there are no people there implies that something else is going on that's even more dangerous. Secondly, human beings are adaptable. Human beings will adapt to their environments, they'll adapt to the people around them, they'll adapt even to their own feelings. Human beings, personality-wise, psychologically, are very malleable. Heck, take television nowadays. I mean, you have a small electronic box that can broadcast images and ideas to everyone on the planet. Heck, there was a movie back in 1970 about the network, basing it's the most powerful propaganda device in the history of the human race. It's able to spread information over and over. And at the end of the day is this, you can just bombard somebody with an idea over and over, even if it's an idea they don't agree with. If you just keep bombarding them with that idea over and over, you can change how a person sees the world, especially if you can control every major media news outlet, if you can control what's being, whatever is being said in a movie or TV, where you can have some overarching, even subtle, theme about something you want to push in society. Though, your question is, what's being pushed? Well, the answer is, whatever allows the people who are rich or powerful to have more control over society. But at the end of the day, it's like, really, I don't really care. I'm kind of a selfish prick. At the end of the day, okay, I can say, okay, I dislike the idea of printing a bunch of money to give to other countries because it drives up inflation more. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't complain if they were giving the money to me. So, yeah. I'm not going to lie about being selfish or, self-serving in that matter. That at the end of the day, I really only care because how it affects me negatively. That's it. If I was one getting money, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, okay, cool, whatever. Oh, a third human characteristic. People want to give head pats. To give and receive head pats. Yes, it's a cute, adorable little joke. But it's also serious. And who doesn't like bunny rabbits and kitty cats and little puppy dogs? We used to have a dog. She died of old age. That was depressing. But yeah, so I know you don't. I feel like the main purpose of the story is, yes, psychological effects on Fuminori of just what's going on, and people just dealing with things like isolation or trauma, or grieving loss of loved ones, and just the way society is. Heck, there's been tons of very unethical experiments done, particularly in the 60s and 70s, which, one, were very unethical, should have never happened, but are also very important to having an insight into human psychology. But yeah, as far as Saya no Yuta, while it's a really good story, it's just, Saya is way, way, way too young. That is definitely way, way, way too young. But again, it's an otherworldly space horror, and it's also playing off an old Japanese folklore trope. Also, there's elements of Greek mythology there, in terms of the idea of the tabula rasa. Because at the end of the day, the being Saya winds up responding to how Fuminori is, and the point is people respond to their environments, even if you are a being from another universe. It also takes up a bit of English literature, stuff like Shakespeare, and because a lot of people tend to over-sexualize a lot of things, because again, that's a major thing that sells. Heck, sex sells. You want to advertise something? Use sex. I mean, especially, I think the early 90s and 80s, probably they pushed it the hardest, where they were just like, hey, buy this product, titties. Because it's just, I think one rule of advertising is that if you're making a commercial, the most effective way to sell a commercial to somebody is to just get their attention. Even if you irritate them with it, it gets them thinking about it. And the more they think about it, the more likely they are to buy your product, even if you piss them off at first. Heck, I think System of a Down made the joke with the music video Sugar, because there's a little intro of a news anchor for the music video for Sugar. It's one of the songs from System of a Down's first album. And the idea is like, well, you can hear that for yourself, but the main idea is like, it's a rating system. You know, news outlets, you know, they make money depending on viewership. And how many people buy the newspapers, how many people tune in. Same with news stations. So at the end of the day, it's not important to tell the truth, or get the facts across, or even be saying what is good for society. What matters first and foremost is saying stuff that's an emotional response to people. It doesn't matter if it, and usually the emotional response you can work on the most is fear and anger. Heck, I feel like especially rich people want people to be racist, or sexist, or against people of different religions, or skin colors, or stuff like that, because it makes it easier to control people. I mean, if all the poor people are fighting each other, they can't work together. So then I think it's just an issue of, you know, systems of control for rich people, and for, you know, politicians. Heck, 2024 elections coming up, I'm like, why can't we just elect Keanu Reeves? You know, we can have Keanu Reeves for presidents, and we can have Neurosama, that AI VTuber thing, for vice president. And then we have Ainzul going Ambassador of Peace, and Tanya from the saga of Tanya as like a general. And we're like, you're now talking about anime characters as doing real world things. I know, it's comedy, I mean, like I said, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like Keanu Reeves would be a good president. Just because he's better than every president we've had, well, for the entirety of my life. So in general, I just kind of feel disappointed that the options we have suck. Or just, feel like the government does not care about people. But yeah, it's just... One, it's a rating system. And usually the best way to manipulate people is fear. Anger. Those are the emotions that tend to really get to people. And of course in advertising, sex. Sexual drives. So, it's the best way to manipulate people. The best way to hey, look at my product, buy this. A lot of times it's marketed like, hey, buy this, and this will happen. Buy this, and you'll be richer. Buy this, and your life will be better. Buy this, you'll be happy. Whatever. But, I still feel the music's way too loud. But yeah, one, a lot of it's just a rating system. So, it doesn't even matter what's right or factual. They can just say stuff that gets you to tune in. Even if they piss you off. Even if they're purposely saying shit that's wrong or egregious or offensive. You know what happened? Because you're pissed off, you tuned in. Now you're watching. So at the end of the day, it's still... And even then, even if they can just say a bunch of bullshit that's completely, insanely out there, because of the fact that all the shit they're saying is, one, so repetitive, eventually, even if you're completely against it, I think it's completely crazy, it does start to... Your viewpoint will change over time. Two, is that you'll say, okay, all this stuff is egregious, but you'll look at something like, there is some, you'll start saying to yourself, oh, there is some truth to what they're saying. And at the end of the day, you still wound up agreeing with them, even if you didn't. So, but usually that sort of stuff is usually done by very charismatic people in very authoritative situations. Because even then, a person as a news broadcaster is seen as an authority figure because, oh, they're the professional. They know everything they're talking about. They get paid to do this. Then there's also the fact of sponsors. Simply put, very rich people pay to, sponsor the content. And of course, then they have a choice, affecting whatever is being said according to whatever they want to be said. But yeah, it's like I'm saying, a lot of stuff's over-sexualized, but that's because, one, there's nothing wrong with having a video game being sexual. Like Stellar Blade. A lot of people complain about that, but I'm fine with that. I think that's cool. But I think the main point I'm trying to say is this. It's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's that I feel like everybody looks at it one-dimensional. That the only thing when it comes to human interaction is sex. I'm like, isn't the whole purpose of sex supposed to be an expression of emotional intimacy? Shouldn't it only be with somebody you trust? Someone you feel safe with? Someone you care about? I've never really, granted, maybe I'd have a different opinion had I had any success with this way of having, intimacy before, but, one-night stands. I never really saw the appeal in that. Because I'm the kind of person that if I were to have had a one-night stand with somebody, I'd, want to talk to them again. I would have feelings. But I guess each person is unique in how they, treat relationships and things. But yeah, Saya no Yuta is a very interesting story. But, again, the way they show Saya, she is way, 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 way too young. That is... I guess the best way to describe it is... young even by lolly standards. That's... because while there's a lot of characters in animes that could be described as lolly, there's a definitive line. Like, take Rebecca from Cyberpunk. She's an adult. She is just short, with very skinny features. Whereas Saya legitimately looks like a damn child. So I guess that's the main thing I'm saying there with that is this. Kinukawa and Doryu, I would not describe them as children. But Saya definitely her appearance, is definitely a child. So while I would say that could be more of a gray area here, with Saya, that's definitely crossing a line. But again, I'm against censorship because I feel like the author wanted to tell a story a certain way. But at the same time, I feel like the story, like the actual meat of the story about psychology would reach more people if it didn't have the more unpalpable elements. But yeah, that's the thing. Saya Nuta is a very good story. It's just, and of course, Saya being the appearance she is, does add to some aspects of Fuminori's psychology, as well as it's TV tropes and stuff, but it's stuff that was back thousands of years ago, both in Japanese literature and in Greek literature. It's a common overarching theme that's used in thousands and thousands of stories. It's a TV trope. It's a storytelling device. I mean, it's like the idea early in the story where we saw different flowers represent different emotions. It's the same thing. There's an element within a story that can represent something that's used to represent the same thing in many different stories regardless of genre. Same way certain insects or animals can represent certain emotions or virtues or vices. It's the same way. It's a storytelling device. But again, there's always going to be questions about, choices the author of the story made in terms of aesthetics. Because like I said, Saya, her appearance is way, way, way too young. That is legitimately a fucking child. So, that's definitely crossing the line. And is very, to put it in terms of how I feel about it, icky. But, like I said, that's because that's far enough that that's crossed a line. But again, it's supposed to be a horror story. It's supposed to be psychologically, uncomfortable. I mean, right now, does this picture feel comfortable to anyone as you see the giant, I don't know, is it supposed to be a flea? Given the legs it has? Or a small grasshopper? What's technically the difference between a grasshopper and a cricket? I understand the crickets can make noises and stuff, grasshopper's a little bit bigger. I don't know. Well, we should get back in, because we're about to probably have more people die. I can't accept those feelings, Doria. Is that so? I'm relieved to hear that. You're still the same as ever. A teacher who harbors romantic feelings for students is the worst. Dorio gives me a mischievous smile. Was this some kind of test? And it's not like I want you to accept your feelings. Yeah, and that's another thing, again. Even though he is a temporary teacher, he is still a teacher. And again, Yashiki is apparently in his 40s? But he doesn't look that old. Initially, I thought he was 19 years old. I just want you to recognize Michio's love. I think that's what she'd want to. Dorio, her love remained a bud until the end. Never had a chance to bloom. But now that you finally realize her feelings, I believe maybe her soul can rest a bit easier. Thank you, Mr. Yashiki. Am I going to see her ghost in a bit? Or are you currently seeing her ghost? Just to give me a thumbs up like, yeah, thank you. What are we going to do now? Find out the departed is, obviously. Find out who the departed is, obviously. In order to do that, we need to decipher the old book we found here. So let's go back to the infirmary. I'm sure we can decipher it if we both give it our best. It's not like we have a choice, anyway. However, even with both of us, it will take some time to decipher the content of the book. I wish there was a better way to do this. Can't we just, like, auto-translate it with the internet? I opened the door and... Alright, I should read things. A cabinet full of old books. There used to be a board blocking the door. I didn't have time to check it before. Let's give it a look now. I opened the door and inspect the spots beside the upper shelf where the old books are stored. Everything is basically junk. Like a moldy mirror, a white mask, and some worm-eaten fabric. If only they had been better preserved. Preserved properly, they might be valuable antiques. I find a familiar item among the junk. I might be able to get one more sacred item. A mannequin without limbs. Has it always been clothed? That was unsettling. By the way, Doryu, you said you and Michio saw an altar where the doll was placed in the clock tower, right? But I don't see an altar anywhere. Yes, I'm surprised myself. There was definitely an altar when we came here. This is strange. Were they hallucinating or something? I don't think that's the case, because the altar was also mentioned in the school newspaper. It's absurd to think they were all hallucinating. In that case, it may have been something caused by the departed. No one knows which is the real clock tower. The clock tower we're in now, or the one you saw before with the altar?
Yoshi.
A large wooden box. I use the item inside here to... Mr. Yashiki, you have to focus on your investigation or else we will fail. Yeah, I know. There's a small item lying in the corner of the box. I pick it up with my hand. What's your idle animation? Oh, you mess with your hair. Okay. Can I do that? Oh, no, I'm thinking. How do you guys jog? No one here. Thank goodness the teachers aren't here. I skipped school today. It'd be bad if someone sees me. Is that your main concern? Isn't it a bigger problem you snuck onto school grounds tonight? Oh yeah, you have a point. Since I've been coming to school at night so often, I totally forgot that was an issue. There's no need to stay here any longer. Let's go inspect somewhere else. There's no one in the library. It's been a while since I last came here. I came to this place a lot during my first year before I joined the student council. Do you like books, Doryu? Yes, I used to read a lot whenever I had free time. I don't really have any other hobbies. Yeah, I sometimes get criticized that I tend to read. Though, I tend to read bits of one book, then skip to another book, and then skip back to that book. That's why I'm jealous of Michio. There are times, like, if I'm really invested in a story, I just sort of stay with that story until it's all the way through, but then I'm like, I can't stop reading the book. I need more. She always has something she's obsessed with. Yeah, I do have a very obsessive and addictive personality. So I can understand that. There's no need to stay here any longer. Let's go inspect somewhere else. There's no one here in the student council room. What's wrong, Doryu? Oh no, being here reminds me of Michio. Ah, I was being insensitive, I'm sorry. No, it's all Arden's fault. Let's just continue the investigation. There's no need to stay here any longer. Let's go somewhere else. Hey, Yashiki. Man's voice. So is the old guy? Familiar voice greets me when I enter the infirmary. Ah, it's a cop. So you're actually here, huh? Credit where credit is due. You were right, hag. Ah, you can always trust my intuition. Okay, you have spiritual powers. Are you aware of this? That is on you. Why did you come back given what you know? Mashita Yasukoka. I called Kujo Mansion, but no one answered. I got worried, Yashiki. You really caused us trouble. I can see spirits on their backs, too. Are these spirits attaching themselves to everyone who enters the school grounds, not just those who attend Konohara Academy? Judging by the awful look on your face, something must have happened. Spill it now. About that... Don't do that, Mr. Yashiki. If you tell them You must be Doryu, the student council president. Please trust us. Yashiki is our friend. We won't betray him. Yashiki is already a jumbled pile of misdemeanors. Trespassing, theft, traffic violations, some more theft. Wait, those are crimes? Why? My spirit doctor's license says I'm allowed to break into this old building. It's like, what are you doing? Nothing? It's like, is that arson? Like, no. I'm purifying the evil spirits. Okay. My attempts at humor suck. I can count them all on my fingers. I'm not going to be surprised by anything that comes out of his damn mouth. So stop wasting my time and spit it out already. Fine, I'll talk. I want to bring an end to this case no matter what it costs me, and I need your help. I tell them everything that happened last night, and I don't hide a single thing. The Departed's Wrath, the old book we found at the clock tower, the fact that I killed Michio, Doryu helped me out, and the spirits I've been seeing on everyone since this morning. You must be kidding me. Hey. I took like a Polaroid picture of you. Would I be able to show you the spirit on your back? To think you'd kill someone. Don't blame him for that. He was being controlled by the Departed. Why is no one freaking out being told that there are giant insects on you? Insanity or not, murder is still murder. I don't know, I think it goes past insanity. It's like the idea of somebody drugs you and then forces you to kill someone. Are you actually liable for the murder then? Or like say if someone steals your car and then they run someone over with your car. Are you responsible because it's your car? You weren't driving it. You didn't even lend it to them. It was stolen from you, and you had no control over what they did with your car. Article 199, a person who kills another person is punished by death penalty, or life imprisonment, or for a definite term of no less than 5 years. I'd slap the cuffs on you myself if I had them with me. I can see that. Let me just say one thing. The law only applies if the victim is human. What do you mean by that? Oh, come on, stop playing dumb. You know damn well what I mean. There's a definite chance Michio Kinakawa was the Departed. But she's dead? And even if that's true, I still feel bad about the situation. Actually, it just makes me feel worse. But what are you going on about now? There's no way. I mean, yeah, they had child. They grew up together. You think there's no way? She's pretty suspicious to me. Doesn't her natural attachment and affection for you remind you of the departed? But she's also dead. Please stop. How dare you talk about her love like that? You better watch your mouth too, Himeko Doryu, you're also a suspect. Both of you have something in common with the way you approach Yashiki. Enough, you're being so cruel. Doryu glares at Mashita, her shoulders trembling. She's going to lunge at him at any moment. I would say the departed, like, no one can be the departed here because they're inside the infirmary. But, you know, it's not like the infirmary is a holy place. It's not like, yes, here we have the giant crucifix and, you know, it's been blessed by the Pope. The Pope came and, I'm not Catholic, but you guys get the point. I'm just saying, is there any reason why the infirmary would be an actual safe room? This is a very volatile situation. I don't know the correct choice. I have a question. People out there in the real world. Would you feel better or worse if every time a decision came up, all of a sudden you had A, B, and C options appear before you? Would it be, one, you'd still have the option to say something that's not listed. But it's like, okay, well now I have these three things here and something else. But also the fact that suddenly there's these options here, it's implying that this choice is somehow very, very important. Or if it was all the time, wouldn't that just be overwhelming? I don't know. I think Yashiko would do this. I'm grateful that you're helping me tackle this case, Mashita, but you took it too far. Yashiki, here's my suggestion for you. Investigate Michio Kinokao. She is dead, though. Determine whether or not she was really the departed. But Michio is already... Even if her corpse is gone, the evidence remains. Search her room. You might find clues about the departed there. Where did she live? She lived in the same dorm. And she grew up next to Doryu. The dormitory near the school. She's in the same dorm as you, right? Yes. It's a good thing we have someone who knows about the dorm with us. Will you help us out? Here's another thing, looking at the character. Imagine if the face were more emotive. Imagine if the body was more animated in its movements. Imagine if it was moving and breathing during this time. Like, imagine if it had a breathing animation, or if it was blinking. Or if the thing on her back was also moving. Like I said, there's a game called Song of Memories, in which it was like 2017 when it came out, and it was like very early VTuber type technology, in which what the NPCs were. Imagine if they had just worked on that, especially with current tech. Heck, recently came out with something called, what? Sora? Which just instantly is able to make realistic video. You can take anything of any graphics, even PS5, and have it instantly be anything you say. Heck, you could have real people. I'm trying to think of a famous real person. And then something that would be unlikely for them to do. You could have Steve-O or Johnny Knoxville from the Jackass movies giving a presidential, you know, inauguration speech. And then you could have like footage of them just like doing Assassin's Creed type parkour. Like you could have actual like Assassin's Creed 2 or Black Flag or Rogue. Which Assassin's Creed Black Flag was a really great game. But you could have like Steve-O or Johnny Knoxville actually doing that. and it can be rendered where the water, everything is completely realistic, and it's not just a realistic picture of Johnny Knoxville doing it. It's actually frame by frame a completely realistic movie to where it looks like real world. It's like the rocks, the shore, the mountain, the ground, the trees, the ship. Johnny Knoxville's face and emotions. You could make him do anything. You would like literally, watch him climb the ship and jump down and stab people with his like little wrist blade things. And then he pulls out a musket, but then out of the musket comes a giraffe. And it would actually look real to the point that you're looking at it and you're like, yes, this is so absurd, it can't be real. But you're looking at it and it's like, you can't actually see that it's not real. It looks as real as anything you would see in like a World War II documentary or a National Geographic video. At which point, literally, you can make a picture or a movie or even an audio file or a voice clip of anyone or anything, and there's no way to know that it's not real. It is completely... And imagine, like, as time goes on, we get like more alternate reality glasses, eye technology, like the Kuroshi stuff of Cyberpunk, or even just the Google tech. Then, of course, there's holograms. I mean, take the Hatsune Miku concerts. Imagine if we did that with like Def Clock, your Metalocalypse, or other concerts, or even bands that no longer exist. Or with anime fights. You could have actual realistic 3D Goku and Vegeta fighting each other. Or you could walk into a room that is set up where the entire room, or even a small amphitheater, or even a field, has all these projections everywhere, to where you have realistic people and scenery and trees from video games. You can have any background from a video game and any character from a video game projected into the real world, and they would look completely realistic. I mean, we have the technology, and the computers can do it so quickly. So it's not even an issue of, you have to have time to make something based on a prompt. No, it's literally, you can have a dynamic environment that literally changes. You can have a dynamic environment that will change in appearance and what it is based on the expectations of the person. You could even have, a hologram of a person that would actually be, or a picture of a person that would be, again, moving to whatever expectations. And then, of course, if as not even a true AI, just an adaptive one, it could have a simulated personality that, for all intents and purposes, could adapt and learn from everything you say, could actually grow, and for every intents and purposes, what's the Turing test? The Turing test is originally the idea of, say you're on phone with a telemarketing or a customer service rep, but instead of a customer service rep, you have the automated computer. The idea is this. Most of, especially the older stuff, you can tell immediately. You can hear the tones that the voice is making, and you realize that is not a natural human voice. That is a synthetically created one. And you can also hear the way in which they enunciate certain things. It's not like it's poor enunciation. It's not like it's an accent. It's the way, like there's certain staccatos that are put in the phrasing of sentences, to where you listen to it and you're like, that's not how a human being talks. The Turing test was originally the idea that if you are talking on the phone with a synthetic simulated voice, how good is that voice at tricking you into thinking it's a human, to where you can't tell the difference? And of course, the same thing's true of things when it comes to human interactions of things that have human faces or human bodies. And of course, like, you go with different aspects. Like, of course, as you get closer and as you make something that's non-human more humanistic, humans respond in a more positive manner. But of course, then you have the uncanny valley, which is where things, because say if you take a robot and you made it more human, you'd give it more endearing qualities. Same with art. You went from a single line to a little doodle to something more realistic. You can create more positive feelings from the human being. But eventually, you can reach a point where all of a sudden it dips down to where, because initially you have a neutral response, to where you have neither a positive nor a negative response. And as the drawing becomes more realistic, or as the robot becomes more humanized, the human has an increasingly positive reaction. However, after a certain point, there's a dip, where all of a sudden it just immediately plummets, not only back to neutral, but far below it, to the point that it went instantly from being something that is become endearing and something a human could relate to and even care about and actually find pleasing, to something the human finds terrifying and disgusting and revolting and just absolutely horrendous. Now, of course, after a while, after you pass the valley, it then skyrockets back up and goes past where it was before. Now, that other end is where it's become so realistic, the human being can't tell the difference anymore. Or it's become stylized. This is at the point that's past the valley. But this is the stylized approach. This is not a realistic approach. At no point do I look at this and think, oh, this is a real person. It's a drawing, and you can instantly tell that. But you can also instantly see how it would look like a person, and it's got endearing qualities. You might say, oh, what about the thing on her back? That's not positive feeling evoking. True, but there's other elements to it, but it's not because of the realism. It's also the same stylized approach, but you're going with certain colors, certain aspects of, say, whether it's insects or the way the face is. And here's the thing. Take the eyes. Doryu's eyes, proportionally to what a normal human being would have, her eyes are a little bit bigger. That's true. But it's not exaggerated. It's only a tiny bit. And that tiny bit allows the character to show more emotion. And human beings do respond positively to that. At least in terms of a stylized approach. However, if you expand them way too much, it becomes unnerving to the human psyche. Same way things that imply disease or illness or death or take the teeth. Sharp teeth like that is implied that the subject of the matter is predatory, that it's going to be carnivorous. Human beings have evolved to have certain fears. Those fears are based off of survival traits. Simply put, you have a fear of heights because if you fall, you will die. You have a fear of spiders because many of them are poisonous, and usually the people that stayed away from the spiders lived, and the people are like, oh look, it's cute, I'm going to keep a bunch of pets spiders. Many of them died. And it's like, oh, people can have pet spiders, yes. But I would definitely say that anybody that has a pet spider in the year 2024 is very intelligent about it. They are careful. They make sure that the spider they have as a pet is not venomous or poisonous. And even then, even if it's not venomous or poisonous, they are careful of how they handle it. And you're like, well, shouldn't anyone be careful with the pet they have? And then, yes, that's true. It's something you care about, and it's a living thing. And of course, most people, myself included, are much more positively endeared to soft, fluffy things. But everyone has different aesthetics. That being said, the main point being is anyone with a pet spider is going to be cautious to not handle it in a way that is going to be harmful to them or the spider. However, most people who do not have a pet spider do not know the proper way of actually handling such things. I'm just saying people who actually do have a pet spider, they care enough that they take the time to approach it from an intelligent way. So they handle everything carefully. The main point I'm saying is that, yes, everything here is a stylized appearance. But, again, it's like TV tropes, but again, colors, certain shades, certain textures, certain appearances. They can elicit different emotions out of the human mind. And of course, granted, each human being is... But you try to gauge what is a normal response. Basically, what is the average response that you would get across the majority of people. Now, of course, there will be more variations, and some people are very far off on a spectrum in many different directions. But, like, then the question would be, like, what if you took autistic people, or people with ADHD or some of that, and you had them react to different art? Would they react to an art in a different way? Would they look or focus at different elements in the art? The main point is that, yes, they're both stylized, but Doria is drawn in a way to be relatable. The thing on her back is drawn in a way to elicit a fear and disgust response. That being said, with the Uncanny Valley, the point is that it may have been described as a fear of, diseases, or death, or contagions, or even of the dead. Because usually, certain appearances at that point, if it looks like human but not quite human, that's also a description that can be applied to a dead person. That usually a dead body would give off that same vibe. And usually a dead body implies violence, death, sadness, potentially even disease, and of course over time humans rot. I mean, even ants, it's just an insect thing, but ants will bury their dead. Now, of course, this is a survival trait that evolved with them, because usually this helps to prevent the spread of an illness, because usually if an ant dies around the colony, it died of an illness. And if it's not disposed of properly, then it will spread disease. And of course, if they just start piling dead ants outside their hill, they're advertising themselves to potential predators, to like whatever that would eat or come after the ants. So, it's a survival trait. It's kind of like the idea of sometimes animals in the wild will bury their poop, not just for hygiene reasons, but it helps to hide themselves from other animals that may see them as a meal. So it's a lot of things in human mind, even fear responses, evolve from things that are us not wanting to die. Same way there's some sort of instinctive fear of beings with elongated face with overly exaggerated eyes. And it makes you wonder, one, what is it that makes all humans scared of that? Either there's some shared psychological aspect, or maybe it's a shared ancestral memory. That at one point there used to be a serious reason why humans had to fear such a thing. But of course, at that point we're discussing things that would have existed thousands and thousands of years ago. Heck, there's also debate out there about maybe the timekeeping within the Bible is not accurate. And of course, many people don't believe in the Bible, and that's understandable. But I'm just saying, even for the people that do believe in the Bible, some people would put the flood with Noah roughly 6,000 years ago. Some people could put it at 14,000 years ago. Some even further. So, again, it's us trying to piece together certain things, especially based on things that, not everyone even agrees is true. That Pepsi in the fridge is so tempting. My head hurts. My head's been hurting for a bit. Try not to bring it up, just it's hurting more. But main point is that as something becomes more human-like, it becomes more endearing. And of course, after you cross the valley, you're either at something that is so realistic that a human being can't tell the difference, or you're at something that isn't trying to be completely realistic, it's trying to be stylized. Like this. And something stylized like this is also appealing to the human mind. The drawings, the characters. But the problem is, when you're trying to go for realism, if you push hard enough on realism but you don't quite get there, you get the uncanny valley, where it's something that it looks almost realistic, but the human mind, even at a subconscious level, even if it can only tell subconsciously that it's not real, the human mind will be revolted by this because it'll see it as this is a threat. Even if it's not logical to think that way. Who knows, maybe it is. But main thing is the human mind will see, oh, this isn't human. And it's trying to pretend it's human. On a subconscious level, the human mind is going to go, this is a threat. This is going to try to kill us. We need to either fight or flight right now. We either need to fight it, we need to run away, or we need to be docile, defensive, and withdrawn. Because at that point, the human brain's going to say, our priority is survival. And whatever's happening here, while we do not understand it, it is a threat to our survival, and we are in danger, and we have to take action of some kind to not die. But it's even more profound if the person on a conscious level is aware of it and is looking at, like they're aware of, they're not, like there's something very seriously wrong. And of course, getting something very realistic is incredibly complicated. And going a stylized approach can not only be much easier, but also, it can also yield a better result. It's more accurate, more reliable, and many times can achieve a better desired result than having something completely realistic, even if you could achieve that all the time. I don't know. If you're unfamiliar with that stuff, I would say, one, the Uncanny Valley was originally, there was a guy who made robots, and he started making his robots more human-like and giving it little human characteristics, and people are all happy with it. And you realize that at some point, if you made it too realistic, people started being disgusted by his robots. Because it was the point that it's realistic enough, but it's definitely not. So if you're going to make something very realistic, you either know when to stop at a certain point before you get to that point, or if you're going to bridge that gap, you either have to be completely realistic, or you have to go for a stylized approach. Or you can look up stuff like Mandela catalogs, which is like analog horror stuff. Mr. Yashiki, are you telling me you suspect Michio? No, I'm only doing this to prove her innocence. Understood. I'll cooperate since I believe she's innocent. Thanks, Dorio. Hey, Yashiki? You mentioned seeing vengeful spirits. Yeah, that should have been the first thing! I understand I talked about a murder thing, and somebody died. But you have giant monsters on you. Like, let me put it this way. If I was at a newsstand or someplace and someone told me these following two statements. One, a nuclear warhead went off in some major city on the other side of the planet and millions of people died. And oh, there's a Black Widow on your arm. I'm going to freak out to the fucking Black Widow on my arm first. Yes, you just told me a situation where millions of people are dead, an entire metropolitan area is a smoking crater of nuclear waste, pretty much, and fire. But you also told me there is a spider on my arm with poison that can kill me. I'm going to freak out to the spider first. I am going to start shaking my arm wildly and dancing. I'm like, ah! Is it on me? It is on me! Like, ah! And then maybe strip my shirt off and be like, okay! And then flip my shirt inside out, make sure there's no other spiders, and walk around a bunch and constantly moving. So it's like, oh, if it's on the ground, I don't want it to step back on me. I don't want it to climb me. It's like, ah! I'm just saying this. If you told me in a statement, hey, there's this major metropolitan city somewhere in Asia that got hit by multiple nukes. Millions of people are dead. Also, there's a Black Widow on your arm. I'm going to react more to you telling me there's a Black Widow spider on my arm. You mentioned seeing vengeful spirits. Yes, in fact, there's also one on your back. I guess this must be why I've been feeling weird ever since yesterday. I wonder if the reason only you can see them is because you're the departed's groom. What are they, anyway? The embodiment of the departed's curse, most likely. Might be a result of their transformation, like the red lights in the school. Perhaps they all look the same, because they were born from the same curse. It's not totally impossible, though the fact that the spirits are part human, part insect definitely raises some questions. Considering one of the Japanese characters composing the name Lord Mushigami means insect, I wonder if there's a coincidence. The deities of M Town and the departed, they really might be connected in some way. What will happen if we just let them be? I don't know for certain, but I have a prediction. Those who are possessed by spirits will grow progressively weaker before they eventually die. I have witnessed it several times. No way, so everyone will die at this rate? Is there anything we can do to avoid it? Considering the number of spirits, performing an exorcism is out of the question. Our only hope is to exterminate the leader of the spirits, the departed. They're the cause of this disaster. Once they're gone, everything will go back to normal. Things have gone from worse to horrible at blazing speed. The damage has spread. But our mission remains unchanged. There's something I'd like to ask you, Yasuoko. I take the old book from my bag. Can you help us decipher this book? It's a book about M Town, a formerly inhabited area near here. Maybe it can also tell us something about the departed. Can you read it? You're also really well versed in these sorts of things. Sure, I'll do my best. I'll try to decipher as much of the book as I can until you all return. I hand the old book to Yasuoko. Shall we head over to the student dormitory? It's just across from the bus stop in front of the school. I hope Kinukawa's not the departed. You believe in her, right, Yasuki? Let's investigate Michio Kinukawa's true identity. I don't care if she's innocent or not, I just want to know the truth. Oh, not even allowed. I was going to change my supporting character so I could talk to Dorio, but that's not even an option. Alright, I actually need her to get into the building. I don't know. Mashito's a cop. I mean, couldn't he do that too? Chapter 7. Okay. We'll end the video. Well, hope everyone had a good day. I'm gonna go buy some more black tea. Like I said, I haven't had... It's been 2 weeks since I've had a soda, an energy drink, an Advil, or a Tylenol. Or been to a fast food restaurant. Granted, that's probably not why I'm having a migraine, but my head hurts so fucking much. Okay. Later, everybody. I guess gotta get to OBS and... Okay. Bye.